Hi, welcome to a Choices Stress Management Moment. I'm Dennis, I'm your host, and today I want to talk about the signs that you have stress in your life. Now, if you have stress, that means you're a human being. We all go through stress. Right now is a stressful time for many, having to be isolated at home or having to work under difficult circumstances. Perhaps you have relatives you're concerned about. So, a little stress is just normal. But what happens when stress is more severe? It's continuous for days or weeks at a time. Well, that's a different story. Stress can be very damaging physically, emotionally, and to our relationships. It can destroy careers. It can destroy relationships with family members and spouses and boyfriends and girlfriends and so on. So you want to keep it under control. So here's some signs that you have stress. Number one is depression. Feeling depressed, having the blues is a normal part of human life. Sometimes we know why. We call that situational depression. We're depressed because we're stuck at home and we really would like to go to our favorite restaurant and we can't, and it's kind of making us mad. We just don't feel good about it. That's situational depression. Depression for which you cannot find the cause or that is continual is what you need to be concerned about. Now, depression isn't always exhibited in the way we think of it as sadness. Oh, I'm sad. Sometimes depression comes out as anger because the sadness isn't able to be dealt with, so we become angry. And so watch that. Anger can be a sign of depression. So can anxiety, where we worry about every little thing, or we have a feeling of elevated adrenaline, our heart beats faster, we feel stressed, and we don't know why. We don't have a specific target of that. That is generalized anxiety, and that can be a sign of depression. Anger, as I said, is often unexpressed depression, and being unmotivated. That usually means you've given up. You feel overwhelmed by all the things around you that you need to do or by the things that are affecting you, and you just want to pull the covers over your head and give up. It's hard to get out of that chair. It's hard to get things going. It's easier to ignore things, to be in denial, to pretend things aren't happening. But that's another sign of stress and is a dangerous one because often not being proactive, we make the situation worse. Quite frankly, not opening that bill that you're afraid of won't pay the bill. And it doesn't get better because you don't know how much it is. But it's a human nature to hide from things that stress us out. That might be things like paying bills, or it might be certain people in our lives or certain circumstances. We don't have those uncomfortable conversations. We don't do those things that make it better. And that only leads to it becoming worse. Sleep. And sleep in a stress situation is really odd because it can work either way. Too much sleep or too little. Or sleep at the inappropriate times. There are times where people get their days and nights mixed up. They can't sleep at night. They can't stay awake during the day. Or all they want to do is sleep. Just get in bed and think about other things and just daydream and just sleep. And this is a place where sometimes medication gets to be abused by people who are under stress. We take medication to help us sleep. And then we can't wake up, so we overdo medications or substances like caffeine that wake us up again. We get into that vicious cycle. Or it can take the complete opposite direction, and that is you can't sleep. You just can't get to sleep. You toss and you turn. You have racing thoughts through your head. You worry. You fret. You just don't feel right and settled, and you can't sleep. Again, signs of stress in your life. Memory, a failing memory, being forgetful, forgetting appointments, forgetting important things you need to do, being confused, being in a mental fog, finding yourself that you can't spell or do math at the level you normally can. These are all signs of stress. All signs of too much anxiety, too much stress in your life. Mental confusion. And that, of course, leads to making problems worse. You begin to doubt yourself. Others begin to doubt you. You begin to feel like you're losing your mind. It puts you in a spiral of anxiety. It's just normal when you're stressed to not be on top of your game. So deal with the stress, and that will get better. Next, making bad decisions. Sometimes when we're stressed, we feel justified in doing things we normally wouldn't do. We maybe drank too much or use drugs or medication in a way we normally wouldn't. We in relationships or begin relationships that are unhealthy. We do lots of bad decisions when we're stressed. Under stress, when you know you're stressed, is not the best time to make big life-changing decisions. It's a good time to make small ones to try to get better, to get yourself on an even place where you feel good and you feel confident and you feel like your brain is working right. Then you can make those life-changing decisions. But if it's not something that needs to immediately be done, don't. Psychiatrists tell us that when we've had a great stress, like say, for instance, losing a loved one, a spouse especially, or losing a job, it's better to minimize within a year's time other great changes, even though they may seem positive. Moving, for example, or changing jobs, or any other thing that can be a positive stressor is still a stressor. And too many stresses in a row leads to chronic stress and chronic anxiety and depression. And they're much more difficult to deal with if we can nip them in the bud when they're fairly young before they become deep-seated into our psyches. And finally, constant worry. Not trusting tomorrow, not trusting your family members or friends or coworkers, questioning everything, and most of all, not trusting yourself. Not being willing to accept your own judgment, even though you've had good judgment in the past. When you put these things together, and I'm going to review them very quickly in a moment, you are under stress. And when these things go for a long period of time, you're in danger. The more of them you have, the longer they last, is how you look at it. So, depression and anxiety, anger, being unmotivated, sleeping patterns disrupted, memory loss, mental confusion, making a lot of bad decisions, having a what the hell attitude, constant worry. These are all signs that you're undergoing stress. And if you feel that you are, you need to get help. Talk to your doctor is the first step. This is Dennis with a Choices Stress Management Moment, wishing you good mental health and a wonderful day. Thank you.